invents big announcement of the week. It's the feature that would enable you to automatically build your positions, but as well as sell your positions in a healthy way to build the best experience for enjoying your wealth. And I think so this is really what SwissBorg is about, building simple products that automatically make you enjoy the best experience overall. So in this case, it's very easy. You're going to have to figure out what is your favorite token you want to buy. Then you choose it with the fiat or crypto that you want. Then you try programming it on a weekly different frequency, daily, weekly, monthly, or whatsoever. And then you just let it buy. And it enables you to really get the best experience, the best habits, but as well to have the best dollar cost average that enables you to build position as well to sell positions. This is a feature that's been highly anticipated, and we're we're going to bring it soon. We obviously are really working hard on it to make it available to the greater public, of course, our greater community. But this is something super simple. It's flexible as well. It's stress-free because it's automatic, of course. It builds you discipline, which is something very, very important. It goes as well for the long-term planning because this is something you really have to do to build your wealth, right? And as well to get to trade a bit your portfolio in a smarter way. It fights volatility, and it's one of the best ways to get into positions and get out to positions again. So I am super excited about this. This is going to be a massive game changer. Think about it. It is like tomorrow you want to build 4 positions with, say, 10,000 euros per year. Okay, you send the 10,000 euros, and then you choose your 4 favorite cryptos, and you say, I'm going to put 2,500 in those different 4. And then what's going to happen is that it's going to buy you on a periodic way in order to get the best price overall throughout a time period that you decide to. And I think so this is something that really makes sense because, well, it gives you a better experience, it gets you good habits to it, and it gets you usually a better price. That's the whole thing of building your wealth, and enables you as well to liquidate your positions in a better way, right? So I love this. This is something that is great for investors, but to take what's the best from trading and bring it back into investments. So I hope you're very excited about this. There's a lot of features that'll be built on top of it, of course. But for now, this is pretty much what we're looking at. I'm going to talk about CHSB again, but you know what? Let's let Alex do this. So Alex, what is the future of CHSB?
Dear SwissBorg family and crypto community across the globe, today we're going to talk about the most simple yet most effective framework when building a token that goes to the moon. Why do I believe in this? Well, first of all, we managed to reach top 70 by market cap, for those who do not know the CHSB token. But on top of that, I've been reading thousands of pitch decks and white papers, and I believe that this framework is probably the most powerful that has been published online. Now, today we have 2 objectives, guys. On top of looking at this framework, I really want to swarm in your intelligence so we can gather all the gray matters, all the brain juice to really build the most effective CHSB 2023 token utility roadmap. And that is why we're creating this video. Let's kick off with the first part, which talks about fundamentals versus token economics. All right, so one of the biggest mistakes that most projects make is that they try to create a super cool product that can potentially scale, so the right fundamentals, as you can see in this image, but do not have the right token economics or utilities connected to the fundamentals. Or vice versa. They may have super cool token utilities and token economics, but the fundamentals, the product itself, is not worth it, so the token will be useless. So it's very important that every project out there, when they're pitching their token, they have to have both the fundamentals first. So you need a product and features that will attract people, that has its USPs, that has its differences, so that people will use the product first and then benefit from many perks with the token utilities. So with SwissBorg, the reason why utilities don't come out immediately is because first we have to build amazing products, which takes a lot of time. And once you have the product and the fundamentals showing that this product can scale, Only then you test out the utilities to make sure that the token captures as much value as possible through these products. So very important, ABC, not CBA. So fundamentals first, token utilities next. So now let's look at design thinking and the thought process. So as you can see in the top left corner, we have empathize. So this is when we, the SwissBorg team, receives tons of feedback, not only from our amazing community members, yourselves. Thank you so much, by the way, we're always monitoring, but also our employees or other partners who will send us feedback relative to the CHSB token. So first step is to empathize, to really try to see the feedback and understand what the community, any token holder is saying, whether employee or community members. Empathize. But the second part, if we go down into the purple color at the bottom left corner, you can see define. So trying to define what the problem truly is a critical part, because we can hear the feedback, but maybe the problem actually comes from something more fundamental that precedes the feedback that we're receiving, right? And right now, SwissBorg family and all of you crypto community evangelists, we're in the orange line here in the middle. That's the ideation phase. So we're swarming your intelligence to get all your ideas in one centralized place. So please feel free to put all your comments and suggestions in this tweet so that we can collect that and then make use of it in the future. And then as you can see from ideation, we go to prototype, the top right corner, that greenish blue. And prototype is basically the MVP. So if we have one idea on how to improve tokenomics and utilities, what is the MVP? What is the fastest way of releasing the first part of this new utility? We test it out. So the pinkish red is testing, means how can we actually do mathematical simulations to project the scaling of this utility and how it will impact price with different simulations, as in conservative to moderate to aggressive, and how it can impact buying pressure. And then, of course, we implement it in the blue and then go back to emphasize. So here you can see, guys, it's the infinity loop, so that we're constantly doing this to send new utilities, to refine them, and just help the token price in the long run. So next, let's have a look at this wonderful framework. All right, so let's have a look at what I believe to be the most simple yet the most effective framework for helping token utilities, economics, and price action. So without further ado, let's kick off, guys. So here we're going to jump straight into this framework. Now, everyone can see there are some colored Post-its. That is essentially all the feedback that you, the beloved community, are going to share with me in this thread. I'm going to organize them for this ideation phase. It's very important that you guys support. There's no such thing as a dumb idea. Be as creative as you want and think outside the box. That is totally fine. That's what we're doing internally at the moment. That's what we'll be doing with our biggest token holders and with our community members. So, what does a framework look like? It's a quadrant, but let's first break it down into the vertical axis. The vertical axis, as you guys can see here on the left-hand side, upper part, is how can we get the community to help with the token usage and price action? Then if you go at the bottom left corner, how can the entity like SwissBorg also help the community's trading volume, liquidity, and price action through automation, right? So these are the two very important parts of the vertical axis. Now let's look at the horizontal axis. As you guys can see here, at the top left side of this quadrant, we have demand. How can we impact the demand for the token, right? And then on the top right side of this quadrant, you can see the supply. How can we impact the supply? How is it deflationary? Is it inflationary? Is it fixed, right? So if you combine both the vertical and horizontal axis, we will have a beautiful quadrant. But it gets more specific with subcategories. And here I will share this with you right now. So if we zoom in, we can actually break down each one of these boxes with different specific subcategories. So here, if we split this in half, what can we do from the community standpoint and the demand standpoint that can increase buying pressure? But at the same time, what can we do from the community standpoint to drop selling pressure, on the demand side? Because, sometimes the problem is some token utilities out there actually have the opposite. So they're going to increase selling pressure. For example, the move to earn, the play to earn, all these type of tokenomics where you reward the community actually have proven to, instead of increase buying pressure, increase selling pressure. So this is very, very important. And here, exactly the same thing. How can we, from the company's or project standpoint, through automation and demand, once again, break it down into two categories on how can we, the company SwissBorg, increase buying pressure through automation, but also decrease selling pressure through automation. So you see, guys, it's not just a simple quadrant. It has its specifications. Another utility that has proven to fail over time is a payments utility. So I know this is very convenient. There are pros and cons to every utility, right? So the rewards, it helps the community. It helps maybe with marketing, but it's not necessarily good with price action. But for example, if you have a token you can use as a form of payment, that is actually increasing selling pressure. So that's not what we want, guys, here, okay? So every box in this quadrant needs to be divided into subcategories. But on the other side, if we look at quadrant 2, so by the way, we have quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. If we look at quadrant 2, which focuses on supply, the subcategories are different. So for example, here, how can we increase the amount of tokens locked, remove from the circulating supply so that there is less selling pressure and the token becomes more scarce and rare over time, which many communities love, right? But also, how can we decrease the supply? So if we have a burn mechanism, how can, for example, here, the community help decrease the total supply? So that, again, are subcategories of quadrant number 2. But if we look at quadrant number 4, once again, we're still talking about supply. How can we, in this, the same thing is up here, increase the amount of tokens locked from an automated standpoint? So how can SwissBorg naturally help the amount of tokens being locked? Is it possible or not? But also, how can we decrease the supply over time in an automated fashion? So for instance, to give everyone some ideas, here you can imagine buybacks have a huge role to play in quadrant 3. Burns, and I know you guys love the burns, have a huge impact to play on quadrant number 4.
And what the holy shit, you good? And
so I really believe by swarming your intelligence, guys, we can have the best token utilities and economics across all crypto exchange tokens. I really, really believe so. I think there's tons of room for innovating and doing something that can inspire the entire industry. Now, please, guys, I need some proper feedback here. Try to give feedback. Try to really reflect on all 4 of these quadrants and even subcategories and mention it in the comments. So let's say for 1, increasing buying pressure, you can just put quadrant 1 or just a 1 / buying pressure and then put your feedback. Or quadrant 3, decrease selling pressure, and give your feedback. The more specific and the more you can help fill in your personal feedback across all 4 quadrants, the better. And I can tell you that internally already with these brainstorming sessions, we have come up with ideas that are mind-blowing. I am so excited and confident. It will take time to implement all of these utilities, but there's definitely a way to send CHSB token to where it deserves to be. And one last thing that I'd love to share with everybody here is it's really important that we make use of all 4 of these quadrants. We cannot be strong in just 1 or 2. And I'll give you some examples. So for example, the DOT token, right? They were really good at quadrant 2 because when they were doing their parachain auctions, they locked more than 50% of all the Polkadot supply. So the quadrant number 2 was really, really good. But quadrant number 1 was not necessarily so good after that. Obviously, they offer high APY, which could help buying pressure, but could also have a significant impact on selling pressure because it's just people buying, locking for high APY and may eventually sell. So for example, Polkadot had a very strong quadrant number 2. The BNB coin literally has very strong quadrant 3 and 4 because they have huge buyback and huge burning mechanisms, but they also have a very strong quadrant number 1 because people have to hold the token, whether you're an individual or a corporate account, you need to stake BNB in order to get discounts. And so because they're fundamentally strong, BNB has a very strong quadrant number 1, quadrant number 3, quadrant number 4. So that is a good example. So you guys see here, right? If we really want to have the best framework for the future, we really need to speculate and brainstorm, swarm our intelligence in all 1, 2, 3, 4 quadrants. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. And I can tell you the future is bright, my friends. Love you.
So some statistics regarding app behavior and our lovely different cohorts of community members. So we can see on the first graph here that, the higher essentially borgers have capital, the higher the chance they actually have invested during the fundraising, which is completely normal, right? So you would say that if this was a linear, you see that here, people that have $100,000 and plus, there's actually 30% that invested into the Series A, which is very interesting. What I see here is, and it's obviously a little bit less than the average, which makes it interesting. Another statistic, which is quite crazy, is that from the people that actually from 10,000 to 50,000, we see that it's the biggest amount that was being raised. So almost 5 million that was raised through our lovely borgers here, and almost 50% of people actually have invested. So this is the cohort that works the best. So if you're part of it, thank you so much. And if you invested, thank you, even double time. If you haven't, well, there's still the opportunity, of course. But this worked quite well here. You see, this is the green line is where it should have been, but we're seeing that essentially the blue is what really did happen. And of course, a lot of people that have between $1,000 and $5,000 have participated, which is really, really good. And this commits almost $3 million. So this is pretty much where we are in terms of AUM. And it's very interesting to see that on the flip side, which is good sad, is you see that these two cohorts these two cohorts didn't really work really well. The 5, 10K didn't work as good as we thought, and definitely not the 50K, 100K, which is quite low for whatever reason. What we have here is that the fundraising versus yield and holding. What we do know is that people who have a lot of yield essentially do invest a lot into the Series A, and I understand because they probably want more yield, which is very interesting. The ones who don't have so much yield, haven't invested that much into the Series A. And then an average, the last one here on the top right, on the bottom right, sorry, we see that most people who have CHSB today actually have invested into Series A. Which is really good. So there's a few amount of people that haven't invested in the Series A, understanding that there's definitely, I would say, value in both, which is really good. Maybe it's only those who have a lot of CHSB that haven't invested that much for some, maybe because lack of liquidity, which I probably presume that's the reason. Let's finish on the CHSB and some data. Unfortunately, not a good week for the CHSB. We're still not at $200 million stake, 200 million CHSB stake. So you could please still cast your votes here on which day it's going to happen to earn 2,000 CHSB or 1,500. I forgot it was 1,500 or 2,000. Obviously, a bit more for the protect and choose. We are close to 40,000 premium. Hopefully we get the next week. I mean, we should get next week for sure. We will definitely get it next week. So we'll get to 40,000. That's going to be a big way. We just need 88 more. Unfortunately, still not 150,000 CHSB token holders. Hopefully we could get that. 1,200. Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for next week. Hopefully we get it in 3 weeks maximum. 2 would be much better. Which brings us to community index to DEX. Are we higher? Are we lower? Cast your vote if you're watching this live, and we'll figure out how to make this prize a cool thing. And ready or not, here we come. Unfortunately, it's a bad one, guys. 4.6 CHSB, pretty stable-ish, and volume and app activity has drastically fell down, social even more. And then CHSB holders and invitation is pretty much stable. So 4.6 was a big drop from last week, but we have time now for making sure that next week we have a fight back and we bring it back to the moon. A lovely week, guys, with so much new yielding opportunities, and there's going to be so much cool ways how opportunities is going to, really grow, because we have this earn now. It's even much more. It's just about opportunities coming all the time into the app to build your wealth in a really customized way and based on different premium tiers that could unlock these special deals. And there's so much more to be done. Anthony, Domen, Alex, myself, and others, we've been thinking about really cool ways to really build our wealth in a fair, fun, and community-centric ways. Very, very excited second about our partnership with Terranoa, really pushing the Terranoa ecosystem. We really believe that they have their chance to grow. Obviously, this is a very early project which has, still a lot to prove, but it has the good foundation, which is the right team, the right mission, the right team, the right community, and more different dApps that are be built on it with great technology, I think so eventually. So this is something that could have a great, I think so, a great story with SwissBorg. What I'm as well very excited about is Auto Invests, how we're going to be build your wealth on a really systematic way to build a healthy and a wealthy ecosystem altogether. So a lot of great momentum always happening on SwissBorg. Whatever it's warm, cold, raining, snowing, the smile is here, the strength is here, and the love is always there. So as always, guys, be healthy, be wealthy, love our CHSB and our equity. Take care, guys. Have a good one.
Through SwissBorg, all assets will have a fiat gateway. And here is the thing.
Premium features gives you 0 fee trading.
It's an amazing fiat gateway.